Okay, so welcome to December 2nd, 2020. Terrific connections between these three numbers, okay? And these two numbers as well. Maybe you can figure that out. Thumbs up or thumbs down with a question mark. Okay? So we have page 46, put in all of that information, and the first word is the word inspire. What's the word? Yes, inspire, which is filling people with a strong emotion. It could be to motivate, to influence, to encourage, to activate, or to energize. Think about even you get inspired, your body gets inspired when you eat certain types of food, but to energize someone, to galvanize, to stimulate or persuade, okay, to convince, all right, to stir something within someone's soul, okay? An antonym would be uninspiring, dull, or boring, and a terrific word. Antonym, it is a must, mediocre. Okay? But getting back to the word at hand, the vocabulary word, it's the word inspire. What's the word? Excellent, inspire, which is really to reach very, very high. Think about a spire on a church. Inspire. 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 First syllable, in. Second syllable, spire. Inspire. So we have two things to mark up. How do we mark this up? Underline the I and the silent E twice. Draw an arrow back. Why? You got it. Because in this case, the silent E makes the I say I. Okay? You might even be your own inspiration. That's probably the best way you could think of it. Be your own hero. Be your own motivation. Okay, the next word is the word insipid. What's the word? Excellent. Insipid means dull or flat, boring, bland, uninteresting, lifeless, sort of run-of-the-mill, unpalatable, unappetizing, sort of wishy-washy, right? But insipid, it's just boring, okay? So for example, mediocre is another great synonym. A great antonym is interesting, captivating, fascinating, exciting, piquant, zesty, savory. Again, getting back to some other synonyms now: common, ordinary, humdrum, ho-hum. Insipid. Okay, so let's go. Insipid. Insipid. First syllable in, second syllable si, third syllable pid. Insipid. And I'm going to do a little something with the etymology here, all right? So the etymology for insipid, to be more accurate with the exact root, would come from the word sapid, and you will have to look this up. When you look up insipid, it will have a little bit in blue. On Google, it'll take you right there. It's quite fascinating. Okay, so the next word is a French word, ultimately, although it might have some Latin roots. You'll see why. It's the word intrigue or intrigue, all right? Something that is of intrigue, we often associate it with something mysterious or unknown. But really, when something starts to intrigue you, it starts to interest you or fascinate you. It attracts you, it draws you in, it lures you in. All right. Think about all those plot schemes, right? The plot to scheme, to maneuver. Okay, the intrigue behind the scenes. What was going on, right? This is really fascinating to us in detective or mystery type stories. Intrigue. There's a lot of plotting and scheming behind the scenes. Anyway, something that is the antonym would be a bore and a snore. Something that will bore you, something that's dreary, something that is monotonous, which is probably the best synonym for this. Intrigue, and it's a little bit different. The spelling for intrigue, because of its roots, you'll understand. When I mention French, Spanish, or Italian, the I in the second syllable will be the E sound. Intrigue. Let's go. Intrigue. Intrigue. We use two-letter G. Two-letter G. Intrigue. Intrigue. All right, so we have a bunch of things to mark up. We have two things. Underline the G and the silent E twice. Job number 5. Intrigue, to interest you, and so on and so forth, to really capture your attention. Now, when something intrigues you, we describe it as intriguing. And intriguing means exciting and engaging, right? And I found the book's plot to be intriguing. What is that culinary delight that someone's making in the kitchen? Very, very intriguing. Instead of saying interesting, you might want to substitute that with intriguing. Okay, so I'm not going to make you pull it apart. Just say intriguing and write it. We drop the silent E. Intriguing. Okay? Now, since we did drop the silent E, though, that is Rule 13. What do we do with these two words? Bracket or brace. So now the next word is the word provoke. What's the word? All right, to provoke is to challenge or to instigate. Very often it's a negative term, but not always. To annoy or to bother, to stir or to arouse. Now arouse in this case can mean to get you excited, to challenge you, right? The Wright brothers, with their invention, it really provoked people. It really challenged them. Some of it bothered them, some of it annoyed them, but either way, it got a reaction out of something, okay? They got a reaction out of people. That wasn't their intention. An antonym would be to pacify, to appease, to be calm, to soothe. Provoke. Let's go. Provoke. Provoke. And that would be number 6. Okay, let's go. Provoke. Provoke. We have 1, 2, 3 things to mark up. So let's go. Underline the O, and the silent E twice. Draw an arrow back. Why? You got it. Because in this case, the silent E makes the O say O. Now, the O can say O at the end of a syllable. That is Rule 4. Now, notice that provoke ends with a silent E, which is why we use the K. Now, the whole thing is going to get topsy-turvy, and this is going to provoke you a little bit. It's going to challenge you. We no longer need the K because we're dropping the silent E. And the word is provocative. What's the word? You got it. Provocative. And something that is provocative, or someone who is provocative, is controversial. Sometimes they can be infuriating or annoying, insulting, offensive, aggravating. At the same time, it can be very, very exciting. Sometimes it can be bothersome. It goes in a lot of different ways. Galileo proposing and Copernicus proposing that the earth revolved around the sun as opposed to the sun revolving around the earth was very provocative to people during his time, because for thousands of years people had accepted that. Okay? So an antonym would be soothing or calm or modest, non-controversial, sort of middle of the road. Provocative. Let's go. Provocative. Provocative. Let me do that one more time. V silent E. Provocative. Let's go. Provocative. Provocative. For the A in that third syllable, we use a. So let's go. Provocative. Provocative. And we all know people who are a little provocative, right? And that's okay, because that gets you to think, that challenges your mind to think in a certain, to try to clarify things in your head. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 things to mark up. So let's go. Underline the O, third sound, underline the V and the silent E twice. Job number 2. The O can say O at the end of a syllable. That is Rule 4. However, notice that we drop the silent E, so that is Rule 13 as well. It was a very provocative idea of Ruby Bridges integrating her school. Now, for some, they accepted it. They thought it was great. Others, they knew it was going to be a challenge. It was a provocative challenge. On the other hand, it bothered and disturbed and infuriated other people. Okay? So what do we do with these two words? Excellent. Brace. So our WOD for the day is the word estate. What's the word? Excellent. Estate. That's everything that you own is your estate. That's one way to use it. Okay? Another way to use it is everything that you own that you leave to someone when you've died. You've heard of a will, my last will and testament. Okay, you leave it to the people. They're called your heirs, H-E-I-R, and they inherit what you've left to them. And you hear the word estate, you hear real estate. Real estate has to do with property. And an estate is a large piece of land with a large house on it, sort of like a mansion. Estate, okay? So let's go. Estate, estate, estate. Okay, first syllable, S. Second syllable, tate, estate. All right, so we have two things to mark up. Let's go. Underline the A and the silent E twice. Draw an arrow back. Why? Because in this case, the silent E makes the A say A. Okay? Some antonyms, possibly, you could sort of think of something that's lost. Everything you own, you might lose it. Okay? You can forfeit it. You can give it up. Okay? So we could use it more than one way. It is a homograph. The etymology is the same, but you need the estate, everything that you own. That's one example. Then when someone passes away, what they leave, everything that they've owned that they leave in their will, that's another way to use the word estate. They leave you their estate in their will, okay? And again, estate, a large piece of land or a vast piece of land with a large house on it, sort of like a mansion. Okay, that's and anything to do with estate in that sense has to do with property, which is a great synonym. I'm not giving you the synonyms this time. You could do it on your own. So let's go. Estate, estate, provoke, provoke, provocative, provocative. Many people think that the president was a very provocative person. He elicited a reaction from people. Okay, so for example, you see this on the headlines on TV and in newspapers. The provocative magazine headline made me want to read it. Okay, so they have a way of attracting attention. Okay, I love this in Scholastic. Title of provocative book I'd like to write. Sleeping makes you smarter. Anyway, sometimes Mr. Modell, think about how provocative I got with the example of I wouldn't allow boys in my restaurants. Now, that's not how I really feel, but you see that it provoked or it inspired a challenge, a reaction, and it got your attention. Okay? So, intrigue, intrigue. Okay? Intriguing, intriguing, interesting. To interest, okay? Insipid, insipid, inspire, inspire.